Hello, and I'm glad you're tuning in today. If you stick with the video till the end, you're going to understand at a high level what is hegemony in the sense of currency, hegemony actually. How does it work? What are the dangers? A little bit of the history of societies who've had hegemony and lost it, and how it might affect America. Remember, hegemony is power, dominance, and leadership. That's what it is. It's a Greek term. It means predominance. It means cultural superiority. There are three types of hegemony. One is called hard hegemony. The other is called soft hegemony. And the latter is called structural hegemony. Let's deal with hard hegemony. Military dominance, tariffs, leadership, sanctions. These are things that are used in hard power hegemony. Structural power hegemony, rules of order, an open society, public good and technology. Like, that would be a definition there. The final part of hegemony is something called soft power, where there's cultural power, influence, non-government organizations like NGOs, that soft type of hegemony, and they've all been used in the past. Let's talk about let's talk about the history of hegemony, and we can start out in after World War I ended. The British dominance went away and it went to the United States. During World War I, a lot of the gold that was physically stored in Europe came to New York. The next thing in history that happened as far as hegemony is the Great Depression. Most countries went off the gold standard, which made the dollar float. The U.S. raised interest rates during the Great Depression. The U.S. applied tariffs. Franklin Delano Roosevelt actually took the United States off the gold standard and made you turn in gold unless it was like jewelry or coins, collector's coins. There was something called the Bretton Woods Agreement, where the world decided after World War II to peg the dollar to gold, which made the dollar and gold the same. This was sort of the beginning of the real dominance of America in hegemony. In the 60s in America, there was the Vietnam War and the Great Society. And Lyndon B. Johnson, the president, was told by France and Spain they wanted their physical gold. As I told you before, the gold was kept in the United States for safety during the wars. This really feared Lyndon Baines Johnson, and for the first time, the United States was spending, this is what got other countries really concerned, was spending more money on butter than guns. In 1970, things really got hard. There was a recession, and one of the most important parts that's not understood in world history, in world financial history, is in 1971, there was something called the Nixon shock, where President Nixon interrupted Bonanza TV program, which was the most popular program on the air at that time, and he detached the dollar from gold. This is the beginning of this is the beginning of inflation. This is the beginning of paper currency just inflating, pretty much so when it happened. Some societies in the past, such as, have experienced hegemony and collapse. I told you I'd tell you about that. The first one that comes to mind is the British Empire. The British Empire lasted for almost 400 years. They had military dominance, financial dominance, but when they detached themselves from gold at the end of World War I and during the Great Depression, World War II, the British dominance disappeared. The next place that I want to cite is the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was the first empire to have a full-time employed army. No other empire had an army. They had soldiers. That was high cost. They also took their currency and eroded it by something called debasement, which is taking gold and silver coins and adding other materials to it to cut down on the value. It's just like printing dollars. Loss of confidence, the Roman Empire went down because of its hegemony loss. And the last one that comes to mind is called the Byzantine Empire. I'm not going to go much into that, but the same thing happened to them. So what are the threats to hegemony? Inflation, American hegemony, dollar leadership, lack of leadership, China, political problems within the United States, a lack of respect, issue with supply chains, climate unrest, globalizations. All these things are issues to be concerned with hegemony. There's also certain organizations like BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and South Africa, has formed an organization where they're trying to leverage a currency to compete against the U.S. currency because of the dominance and the ability for the U.S. to create inflation and export that. There's also OPEC Plus, which is being an issue. Okay. So how does this affect average American? Well, high interest rates can occur as you start to lose hegemony. Surges in bonds being held by American foreign countries to cash in as they see the potential of the country losing its authority. Super high inflation, political unrest, market crashes, greater threats of war. Hegemony is extremely important, not only for the United States, but to keep the world stable. I'd like to thank you for your time. Please give me a thumbs up and have a good day.